Hey everybody, welcome to Marvel Champions Monthly. We are a fan podcast about the card game Marvel Champions by Fantasy Flight Games. We've got an awesome show for you today. I'm one of your hosts, Kennedy Hawk. I've got two co-hosts with me. We've got Crimson. How's it going, Crim?
Yeah, it's going pretty good today.
It's going pretty good. We're going to talk about the heroes from Mad Titan Shadow. So, hot take, which hero did you like better?
I think Spectrum's a better hero, but I like Adam better.
Okay, that's fair. It's very PC. All right, we also got Attercop. How's it going?
Good.
We've all gotten our Mad Titan Shadow box, and we
Thankfully.
have played the heroes. Yeah, thankfully. It was close for a while there, but it made it. The
That's what we
FedEx
get
man
being in
delivered
North
it.
America.
I was like sitting at the shutters, just like watching for them, and it was like UPS came by, and I'm like, no. And then the Postal
Yeah.
Service came by, and I got really mad. And then DHL came by, and I was like, I didn't even know this is a company still, but they were. And then finally FedEx.
I had one day where FedEx was like right next to my window, and they dropped something off, and it wasn't that. And my tracking said that it was delivered on a certain day. And yeah, they didn't bring anything for me, so that was pretty disappointing. But it did show up the
Hold
next
up
day.
that Kermit meme to the window of him crying while he's waiting for his package.
I was thinking of the guy sitting on the swing and then drinking the coffee.
Yeah. There's so many good memes about waiting for Mad Titan Shadow, but it's finally here in the U.S. for some people. Although I've heard some people's pre-orders still haven't shipped, so I feel out for those poor souls.
That's brutal.
Yeah, totally. But what we're going to do is, just like we've done for the last 3 boxes, our next 3 episodes will be MTS focused. So today, we're going to talk about the 2 new heroes and the aspect cards they come with. So we're going to talk about Adam Warlock, we're going to talk about Spectrum, and all those fun new tools we get for them. Next episode, we're going to talk about the first 3 villains. We're not going to say who they are yet, because some people might not have played or opened their box or had their pre-order shipped. RIP. And then the final week, we're going to talk about the last 2 villains. So 3 episodes all about MTS. I'm super excited to finally be able to talk about it. I had a friend who lives in England who shipped me a copy, like when it came out there, like 3 months ago. So I've been like chattering in my seat, just waiting, and now we can finally talk about it.
He's
I'm
a lucky
floored.
guy.
Yeah, I know. I paid him for it, and then he shipped it to me. So I shouldn't say he just gifted it to me, but it came. My kids were really excited to get a package from not England or not the U.S., and then they found out it wasn't for them, and they got really mad. So it backfired a little bit.
Oops.
But today, all about that. So first, we're going to do an MCM challenge, just like we always do. And this episode should go live this weekend, so hopefully it doesn't take me a week to edit it like last time. But last episode's challenge was from Attercop, and we made you play Space Pirates again. I apologize. But it was Zola with Temporal and Space Pirates. We had 118 responses with a 72% win rate, so that's pretty good.
That's really good. Yeah.
2 people even played in Heroic and reported it, and at least one of those people won. So
Okay.
A+ to those folks. They were not me.
Yeah. Good job, everybody.
We did not have any 4-player groups report this time, but I know at least one 4-player group talked about it on Discord, so they must have missed the form. So if you haven't checked it out yet, we have a Discord, which is like a chat app, in our show notes below on your phone or however you're listening to this. If you jump in there, there's a channel called MCM Match-up, and people talk about their match throughout the weeks and post screenshots of it. And pinned in that channel is a form, so you can turn in this data and we talk about it. Only 25% of people said they were sick of Space Pirates. That was one of our funny questions. So I'm shocked that many people still like Space Pirates. So apparently Galaxy's Most Wanted brought us something good. It brought us Space Pirates.
I think people were just being nice to me.
The most played hero was Thor.
Good.
The second most played hero was Rocket Raccoon. So people went all in on the minion murdering and stabbing and shocking with lightning, which is great.
Good.
You want to hear something shocking?
I just heard something shocking. I think you just said shocking.
Something mystically shocking.
Okay. No Doctor Strange?
There were 2 characters that no one played as.
Is it?
Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch.
No way.
It's like they're sick of them or something.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that doesn't. There's no way. Like,
I mean,
yeah,
maybe,
I'm assuming some of those
maybe
people just didn't report, and you don't. The only question you have to answer is, did you play? Did you win? Everything else in the form is optional. So There were 118 responses total, but there were only 90 responses of what heroes were included. So some of those 18, or what is that, 28? I can do math sometimes. Some of those 28 may have been Mystics. But for now, we weren't Mystic lists because a few people played Adam Warlock. But we were close to being Mystic lists. So that feels good.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
All right. Well, we're in the 4th MCM matchup. So this one is going to be challenged by Crimson. And I heard he's going to give us a plot twist.
Yeah,
Insert sound effect here.
I'm not gonna do a villain thing. You guys have all done villains. I'm gonna do a hero thing. So my challenge, originally, what I wanted to do was have people play Hulk with Justice because I find it to be just a weird combo that works really well, but not everybody has Hulk. So I'm gonna say to play a hero with the aspect that you think is their worst aspect. Obviously, there's a couple heroes that you won't be able to do this with, which would be Adam Warlock because he's every aspect, and Spectrum because she doesn't have a worst aspect. Same with Captain America or Doctor Strange. So try to find a character like Thor or Drax, or I would love to see some Groots in some very off aspects and see how they played out. But though the one that I recommend is Hulk with Justice, or my old faithful She-Hulk as Justice. But I don't know if Justice is really She-Hulk's worst aspect. I'd say leadership would be, but so that's my challenge. That's what I think would be fun.
So it's a hero challenge. This will be exciting. So what we'll ask on the forum is, what hero did you pick, and what aspect did you pick as their worst aspect? And we won't ask like what the player count was. So if you played a 4-player game, you can just submit rapid fire 4 times. And we might ask what villain you played against, just so we can get the data to see, did everybody test against Rhino, or were people like going up against some redacted MTS villain?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Like,
cool.
We want to know who you guys are playing against.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see what people come up with. Like, I'm interested in seeing what the Thor ones are going to be, or the Iron Mans, because Iron Man, like, in my opinion, Justice is Iron Man's best aspect. But I know since he's one of the core heroes, almost every aspect really does work with him.
Totally true.
So it'll be interesting to see what people perceive as the worst aspect for some of these characters.
Yeah, that's super interesting too. I think that's probably the best part. Like, I'd speculate on some of the combos now, but I don't want to give anybody ideas or like lean them into anything. And I think it'd be good to speculate before we reveal any information next time.
But yeah, cool. Seems interesting.
Well, that is the MCM matchup. Americano's not here, but since he's like our advertising guy, he did send me our sponsor ad for this episode. We did get a sponsor ad. Isn't that exciting? So I'm going to open this email and read what Americano has to say. Kennedy Hawk, open the attached document and you can read this ad for the show. This is our sponsor for the week. I'm really excited about them. Okay,
good.
It's downloading the doc.
Cool.
Good thing I paid for Microsoft Word this year. Totally.
Paying for Word.
I'm definitely not opening this in Google Docs. Ha ha ha, we do not have a sponsor this... Oh, this troll. Ha ha ha, we do not have a sponsor this week. I talked to many people about who could sponsor us, and they listen to our show, and they do not want to sponsor us. In fact, they thought about sponsoring us to stop making a show, but they thought that would be too mean. So, that is the sponsor. Ha ha ha, from Americano. Well, it sounds like we don't have a sponsor this week, guys.
This is because of making fun of protection cards.
It's probably because I make fun of protection cards too much. But if you want to tell me how wrong I am and still sponsor us, you can go to patreon.com/MCM podcast. We've got a bunch of different tiers, a bunch of different reward levels of how you can support the show. And we wanted to thank a few supporters this week. So we were going to thank Randy H., Matt M., and Frederick D. So thank you for supporting the show, and thank you for tuning in and listening. We really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
And now, back to the show. So, MTS heroes. We're going to talk about each hero, and then we'll talk about their like backup cards and their aspect cards in the deck. So, first, let's talk about Spectrum. Does anybody want to give the Spectrum hero overview?
Krim, you seem to have some pretty highfalutin opinions of Spectrum. Why don't you let us know what she does?
Oh, let's see here. Okay, well, I'm going to do the Adam Warlock. Okay, I'll do Spectrum.
You can do both. It's okay.
So Spectrum is a form hero. Her alter ego side is you're going to put these 3 different forms into play face down, and then whenever you flip to her alter ego, you flip all forms face down. And then when you flip to her hero side, you're going to choose one of these forms and flip it face up and get the bonuses from that. Now she has a 1/1/1 hero with your average 6 and 5 hand size and 11 hit points. So nothing too crazy there. Her forms are permanent, which means they cannot replay, and they are all considered energy forms. So she has her attack form, which is Gamma, gives her +2 attack, and then they have a response on that. So hero response. After you change to this form, deal 1 damage to an enemy. Photon is her thwart form, gives her +2 thwart, and after you change to this form, remove 1 threat from a scheme. And then Pulsar is her defense, so +2 defense, and after you change to this form, deal 1 damage. Now, I like that they all have other abilities other than just stats. I do think the Pulsar one's probably one of the best ones because it's damage mitigation in hero form, pretty much. I really enjoyed that aspect of it. The other 2 are pretty basic. You remove a threat, deal damage. Nothing spectacular, but they add up. They really do add up. The rest of her kit is she's going to have her ally, which is Blue Marble. He's 3 for 3 health with a 2/2, and then after he enters play, you can change your energy forms. Pretty basic ally. He's about rightly costed. I like the fact that he's both 2 thwart and 2 attack. So with her, she's a very versatile hero. She's able to take the role of whatever she needs to, and her ally includes that in the fact that it's not geared towards thwarting or attacking. It gives you a little bit of both. And then she has energy duplication, which is going to be her energy resource card. Pretty standard with 2 cost upgrade. But what it does is it produces a resource based off your form. So if you're in attack, you get physical. If you're in thwart, you get mental. And if you're in defense, you get energy. Then the rest of her kit is a little weird because it's all events, but it's going to give you the 3 Gamma Blasts, the 3 Photon Speeds, and the 3 Pulsar Shields. So these are based off of the forms. So with her Blast, it's deal damage and switch to the damage form. The Photon is remove thwart and switch to the thwart form. And the shield is, prevent damage. And is it prevent damage? It's when she defends, change to and ready her. Okay, so it untaps her. So, and then they all have another ability of if they're already in the form, they gain something extra. So the defense one is if you're already in the defense form, you gain retaliate. If you're already in the thwart form, you gain the ability to ignore the crisis icon. Or if you're already in the physical form, you gain overkill, which is very interesting and allows you to change your form without having to flip down. And then the other event that she runs is a 0 cost event, change form, and draw a card. I actually like this because it allows you to, again, change form on the fly, doesn't cost anything, and replaces it. I think it's a very strong card in her kit.
I agree.
Yeah, cantrips are great, right?
Yeah.
Speed of Light not having a cost on it, I think, is what makes it amazingly good, especially having 3 of them. I mean, like, look at Resize, right? Resize is the most effective card from Ant-Man's kit and from Wasp's kit, and it's just because that's the text, right? That's the best card.
Yeah. And like you said, cantrips are great, which is the origin of
Especially in this game, when cards are resources, anytime a card replaces itself, it just keeps your turn going and keeps you accelerating through your deck. One cool thing with Spectrum is 14 of her cards are superpowers, which is a crazy number. Like, I don't think anyone else has that many superpower traded cards. Now, Deft Focus isn't going to help you play all of these cards, but it will help you play several of them, which is great. So I'm pretty excited about having like that consistent trait.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah, because Speed of Light is free, but the other ones are not. So it's yeah.
yeah, and I think Deft Focus is an action, so you like wouldn't be able to use it on the interrupt one, but you can use it on the other 8 cards, which is a large number.
Yeah, I think it's like Helicarrier, so you got to be able to use it beforehand.
Yeah, it is. It's like Helicarrier Hero
Not
Action.
a response card, huh?
Not a
Right.
response card or a resource card. So I really like how succinct her kit is. Like, it's very self-contained. Like, she can basically do everything. And I like that all the cards sort of change you to that form, because one of my biggest fears with Spectrum, and it's still happened a couple times, is that every once in a while I'll be like stuck in the form I don't want to be in, and to switch forms if I don't draw the right cards, if I need to thwart, and I draw all my defense and aggression, or not aggression, but I should use the right words. If I draw my Gamma and Pulsar cards, then I don't have a way to switch to the thwarting form, and I've got to go to Alter Ego, which means more threat goes out, which means I really need to thwart. So the fact that all those events let you change form and then do something is really, really strong, because you get that bonus from changing form, and you get to the form you want to be in, which I really liked. I think it's a very neat way of doing these forms.
Yeah. I mean, I've mentioned Ant-Man already, and I'm likely going to mention Ant-Man and Wasp like more times in this episode. But having that extra option, having that extra like decision point, in addition to flipping from hero to alter ego, like that makes her really interesting, and that's like probably my favorite part. I mean, that's what Krim said, and I agree with him.
Yeah, it's a bit of a bummer that you can't switch between the forms like you could with Ant-Man, where he could switch between giant and tiny without playing an event. But since, I mean, 12 of the cards in her kit let her switch forms, it's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, I think we'll make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite form to play in?
Oh, Thwart.
The thwart form?
Are we going down party lines here?
No. I mean, there isn't one for me, so that's not fair.
I have to tell you something about your favorite aspect.
It's just so strong that it didn't need one. Yeah, I know. No, what I was thinking is, like, when I'm playing an aggression hero, I really like to sit in photon form, because I can count on my aggression events to like do the damage, and I can still jump to gamma when I draw a gamma blast, but I don't have to sit there with that 3 attack the whole time. In solo, at least, I can like count on Spectrum's base stats to do all the thwarting, because 3 thwart without any setup is insane.
Pretty decent,
And then
yeah.
I can just rely on aggression to do the damage. And I do that in solo, but I find when I'm in multiplayer, I do the opposite. Then if I'm playing in multiplayer and I want to be the damage dealer, then I sit in gamma form, because it gives me that +3 stat, and my gamma blasts have overkill, and there's a ton more minions. So depending on solo or multiplayer, I sort of like pick my favorite form and aspect pairing differently.
That makes perfect sense. Like, in solo you have to be able to do everything. So you're sort of hedging your bets. But in multiplayer, you obviously are playing a role.
Yeah, and as the solo player, I would make her as leadership, because, well, everybody has leadership. And yeah, I would probably sit in Gamma more than Photon.
Yeah, that makes sense, because your allies can do the thwarting.
Right. My favorite's Gamma, obviously, just because even in solo, I'm still trying to do as much damage as possible, like all the time. But it's honestly because of that little extra text that says deal 1 damage. Maybe from trying to play Hulk and Thor so often, like my greatest enemy is tough tokens.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And the answer probably isn't that you
on.
sit in one form. You want to keep triggering that hero response and flipping. But I have one that I like deck build around, I guess.
So
and people build their decks differently, so it's...
Here's my question. Say there's toughness and you use Gamma Blast and you switch over to Gamma. Would you do the 1 damage from switching forms before the 7, or would it be all at the same time?
That's a really good question.
That is
they
a good
say
question.
that resolve sentences 1 sentence at a time.
Yeah.
So The damage and the changing forms is all in one sentence. So WTF do you do? And the answer is we probably don't know. What I would do as a McCheaty face leadership player is I would deal a damage and do the tough because it says change forms, and I do that and I respond to it mid sentence because I am as fast as Quicksilver. And then I would deal my 7 damage and overkill because that's just how I play.
I would play it. What?
I mean,
Heroes
I
are
buy
strong.
I buy it. Heroes are strong. That's the argument.
Yeah, exactly. So
And
that's
I'm
what I
gonna
would do.
I'm gonna have another question when we get to the aspect that she comes with too. Now I'm not asking these questions because I don't know but I figure
Sure.
some people are gonna have
Just
these
hedging
questions.
your bets. I got
Yeah.
it. It's okay if you don't know, man. It's okay.
Well, I don't know, so I'll admit that.
We don't know
Right
anything.
away.
If anybody listens to this podcast, like they know that we don't know anything. So
There's a lot of the word "you" in those 2 effects, and it scares me. So I'm just gonna say I think I know what I'm doing, but I don't know if I know. I don't know if the "you" of me knows what "you" is doing, and the "you" being me. I don't know.
I'm me.
And you're "you" at the
Okay.
same time as being me. Isn't that crazy?
Okay, I'm writing this one down.
I wish the forms gave you traits because I want more things with gamma traits
Gamma.
to use with
That's
team building
man.
exercise. Isn't that
I-
disappointing? That was
I-
like, if this is my gripe, you know she must be pretty good. I'm like, I really wish this one card gave her a trait.
I was waiting to get to that part of the conversation, and you took it from me. Yeah.
Okay, well there you go.
But
Hulk.
I don't feel robbed because I know that you also respect Hulk. So
Yeah, it was mainly because I want to be able to play Hulk for 1 cheaper with team building exercise.
there you go.
But
There you go. Man, if only this had the gamma trait. This is actually a very pro Hulk podcast. So
sorry everyone.
yeah.
Speaking of like radioactive gamma stuff, Spectrum has a really interesting obligation and nemesis set. So her obligation makes you give it to the Monica player. You cannot change energy forms, but it doesn't give you the option to flip to alter ego. It forces you like to go to alter ego to get rid of it because there's not 2 options. It's just alter ego action, exhaust Monica Rambeau to remove this card from the game. So it doesn't give you that free flip. And to get rid of it and be able to change energy forms ever again, you have to flip to alter ego and put some threat on the scheme, which I thought this is one of the coolest obligations we've gotten. Even though it doesn't have a lot of text and it's not like anything special, it's a complete like flip in the paradigm of how obligations have gone.
Yeah, because usually they're a one and done. This one sits on you.
Yeah, it sits there and is a jerk to you. Her nemesis set is Radioactive Man, and he's got a lot of AoE damage.
Yes, which is awesome. Like I'm so excited to see Radioactive Man. Actually, yeah, I mean this character is pretty important to me for how do I phrase this?
You.
Me. But not because of Monica, actually. Because of Chen being in her nemesis set. Obviously we've seen Radioactive Man before. But seeing him as the nemesis is cool because he's a pretty good villain, but also he is a member of one of my favorite teams. He is a member of the Thunderbolts.
The Masters. The Masters of Thunderbolts. Okay.
Right. The pretend Masters of Evil or the pretend heroes, I guess. Yeah. So I was super excited flipping through the cards and seeing Chen again.
Yeah, one thing to note with her Nemesis set is a lot of the Nemesis sets sort of counteract that hero. Like Black Widow's Nemesis set is horrible for Black Widow. Radioactive Man doesn't actually like rip apart Spectrum's like game plan. It really rips apart leadership. So it rips apart her precon pretty well because everything is just like AoE damage to all your allies, so they all die and you cry. But he's just mainly a damage dealing nemesis set. So I mean he might make you flip, but he's not going to like turn off your forms or like exhaust all your upgrades or anything that would make Monica upset.
Yeah. So let's all just be happy that he's here again.
It's
right?
true.
Right? That's what I'm hearing.
I'm pretty happy. Do you have any interesting comic book facts about Monica Rambeau?
You bet I do. And I was like, I was trying to resist getting into it right then, but obviously we're at that juncture. So
it's in my sheet. I have to say it.
Okay. If it's in the sheet, now I know how to say whatever I want as long as I can get to that sheet. So Monica's a really interesting character. for a few reasons, but one of my favorite reasons is that she has had a lot of names. She, like a lot of Marvel heroes and a lot of we could say Captain Marvels. Uh, there has been a lot of Captain Marvels, and she is one of them. That's probably why we didn't get her as Captain Marvel, which is I'm this isn't off the top of my head. This is I did have to look this one up. Um, she originally appeared as Captain Marvel in the '80s in a Spider-Man book, in a Spider-Man annual, and she spent some time as Captain Marvel, and then she changed to Photon a little bit later in the '90s, mid '90s. They weren't doing a whole lot with the character in between those 2 points. And then the reason why she popped into my head, obviously, is because of when she changed her name to Pulsar. She was Pulsar briefly, or not briefly, actually. She was Pulsar for nearly 10 years. But that change happened in Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts volume, well, New Thunderbolts. So it's its own volume. But yeah, so in New Thunderbolts, she's talking to Captain Marvel, who is recently back from the dead, sort of, or Genus Vell. And he's like, "Hey, you should change your name." And she's like, "Yeah, no, I think that's right." So she changes her name, and it didn't take a whole lot of convincing because she's changed her name so many times already, right? And then she picked up the Spectrum name relatively recently in Mighty Avengers #1, which is where a lot of this art is from. So her history and her time as Spectrum is really like built into this kit in both the art and like her powers and her most modern version, which I think is really, really cool, really concise, kind of wraps it up into a nice little package.
Wait. So what do we think of Spectrum? If you gave her a grade, F through S tier, where would she land?
Oh, she's very close to S tier for me. I would say A tier for now. I need to play around with her some more.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. A for now, but pretty. I think breaking into S is not a long shot.
Yeah, we're all in agreement. I think she's high A tier. I think the only thing that keeps her out of S tier is that 1 in 100 games when you like keep getting stuck in the wrong form for the wrong situation. But that's a solo problem and a not likely problem. So she's high A. She's really close to S for me. So good, a good hero. All right, this is a good box so far. Everyone, go buy it.
That's it. That's a wrap.
Also,
Yep,
not that it really matters, but she does start with the aerial aspect or trait, which could be useful.
It could matter for a green player. They got a good aerial card, right?
Yeah, and who knows for the future?
I don't even think I noticed that.
Yeah, most of them don't start as aerial. They have to get like the helmet or the boots.
Or the Mjolnir or something like that.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
She is a leadership player. She can team building exercise Falcon in for 1 cheaper.
There it is.
So excited. Nailed it.
Well,
amazing.
I mean, I do agree she is a leadership player, though.
I think she could have done that already. As an Avenger?
Avengers. Yeah.
No, we pretend that it's special. I'm triggering it with the aerial trait, not with the Avengers.
You're going to declare it loudly.
Yes, it will be loud at my table.
Yeah.
And now she does come as a leadership character in her starter, which I do agree is probably her preferred aspect, because she has the ability for damage and thwart and protection through her forms, which leaves leadership as the one thing that I feel works very well with her. If you're looking for that utility player.
Yeah. Same with like Captain America for his action efficiency. He plays leadership very well because he's got a built-in ability that reduces the cost on alter ego, but more importantly, he can fill the gap that you're missing with your allies.
And she has some really good leadership cards.
Do you want to go through them? Let's do it. What's your favorite 2 leadership cards from the pack?
I really like Band Together and Mass Attack.
All right, so Band Together is a new resource. It has 0 printed resource icons. What? But then the text says, this card generates a wild resource for each ally you control to a maximum of 3. That's really
nuts. That card is
nuts.
I feel like it should have been a maximum of 4 because Triskelion.
No way. Come on. No, come on. 4 resources on a single card?
You can get to like 6 characters with
Yeah.
Star-Lord, though, so it should be maximum 6. Obviously, leadership needs a buff, and this
Oh.
card that
And
was
there are 7 characters on the card, so 1 being the hero, the other 6
this
being
theme
the
is ruined. I'm ripping this card in half right now.
You guys
Mail
need
me
to
a new
chill
one
out.
with a band-aid on it.
You guys need to chill out. That's not happening.
This card is bonkers.
It's already so good.
I feel like the plan was for this to be a risk-reward card, because if you draw into these early, you get no resources out of them. And you can still discard them at the end of your turn, but it's just like a dead card. But when you're playing leadership, you usually cram so many allies into your pack, and you can mulligan so deep that if you end up not having an ally and having 3 of these into your hand, you're either A, very unlucky, and you were going to lose anyway, or B, maybe you should rethink how many allies are in your deck.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
I definitely agree. I mean, obviously, there's the fringe scenarios where it's like, oh, this leadership deck doesn't do allies because it's a Moxie build or whatever. But
yeah, and again, then maybe this isn't a card for your deck.
Yeah. But in general, people are going to open with at least 1 ally, maybe 2 on a good opener.
Yeah, and I think it's great even at 2. I think a lot of people, like myself included, my self-inflicted self, they focus on being like, I have to get 3 resources out of this card. So they're playing all these cheap allies to do it. Even with 2 allies out, this is like one of your basic resources, and those are included with every hero for a reason. So
and they're wild, right?
Yeah, and they're wild. So don't feel like you have to have 3. This card's great either way.
That's super nuts. Oh god, this card is so good.
Yeah. What was the other card you said?
Mass Attack.
Mass Attack. Well, that's an interesting choice.
Which pairs with her Mighty Avengers.
It's true.
I think Mighty Avengers costs too much, even though it does so much. But Mass Attack, I feel, is just an incredible build-around style card. So what Mass Attack does is it's 3-cost hero action. Exhaust 3 allies you control with the same that share a trait with your hero. So Avenger. Deal X damage to an enemy, where X is the total attack of those allies and your hero. Well, when you start looking at stuff like Wonder Man, Goliath, there is some very interesting things that you can do with this card to increase a lot of attack.
My problem with this card is if you have Wonder Man, okay, Wonder Man's a really good example because you're spending a resource on him anyway. But if you have Goliath on the board and you use his pumped stats, or you have anyone with 3 attack on the board, you could have just attacked with him already. And they would take consequential damage. So you're avoiding the consequential damage and you're adding the hero damage. But is that worth 4 resources? Because 4 resources is basically like your entire hand minus 1 card. And I struggle with that a little bit. I've been trying to build a deck with this. I think it has a place, but it's...
Again, that's why I said build around card.
Yeah, definitely a card you have to be planning to like do something cute with.
And it will only get better with age as we get more leadership allies, more Avenger allies, more allies that share a trait with her, more aerial allies. Could do aerial instead of Avenger.
You could, see? I've been working on a Spider-Woman aggression leadership deck that uses like Hulk ally because you don't want him to discard himself. And Bug with an energy spear and an honorary Avenger. So you get like 3 damage allies out there.
Yes.
And then Spider-Woman uses mass. Like, she doesn't even use leadership allies. She just uses all the great aggression allies that have a high attack. And then she uses leadership mass attack to try to like smash through. And it's like really close. Unfortunately, I need like 14 cards from every aspect.
Yeah.
And my deck ends up too fat. So I have to figure out what to do.
I was going to say, to make that work, you need a lot of gas in the tank just to get there.
Yeah, it takes a while to set the combo up. But with strength and numbers and that stuff, I think it's got a place.
Now, the question that I wanted to put out there for people, in case they weren't aware of how it worked, was Moxie. So Moxie says after you change form. Now, we've been, obviously, the only way to change forms have been to flip from alter ego to hero and hero to alter ego. But her 3 permanent cards are forms, and they are, and it does say, so like with Gamma Blast, it says change to the energy form, the Gamma energy form. So this is changing her form, which would trigger Moxie for that turn.
I don't think so. They don't actually have they have energy form on them. I don't know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know that it
I
they
think it does as well, is my understanding. This is
Yeah.
just
Really?
like Ant-Man and Wasp. That
Yep.
counts as changing a form, which means another place for Moxie. And I love the art on Moxie, so that makes me happy.
Yeah. Well, Sam.
Yeah.
Or young Sam, I guess.
Young Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. I mean, I hope it does work. I didn't want to get my hopes up because that's the kind of stuff that I'm into.
Yeah,
I don't-
it's a very. I think that's why there was 3 Moxies included in this.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Yeah, and I just figured I'd mention it because I'm sure that there's people who weren't aware or didn't think of it in that way or think outside the box on that way. But yeah, it would count. So like as a response to changing her form while playing Galaxy or like switching over to Gamma Blast for the attack, you would change into Gamma Blast or Gamma form and get +1/+1. Some interesting combinations there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm super into that. You get a little extra miles out of the form you need to be in. I like that a lot.
Sounds great, yeah. And it's for the whole round. So if you change to the thwarting form and get to 4 thwart, and then next villain phase you play the defense event to change yourself to the defense form, you still get that like 4th defense stat, which is really cool.
That is really cool. Wow. Okay. All right. So now we're looking at a new Moxie hero. Great.
A new Moxie hero. My favorite cards were White Tiger and Kalu. So White Tiger is a 3-cost ally with 2 thwart and 2 attack and 2 health, with an awesome response. After White Tiger enters play from your hand, draw X cards up to 3, where X is equal to the villain stage number. I think this is a cool way. I think, unlike the cards we got in the previous cycle that scaled off villain stage number, this one scales appropriately, where like when the scenario is harder, it gives you enough buff that it's still worth playing. And when the scenario is easier, it doesn't feel unworthwhile. So I really like White Tiger.
And when you're doing, expert and he's on stage 3, she costs nothing.
Yeah, that's insano, right?
Yeah.
And then Kalu is a 2-cost ally with 1 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 health. After Kalu enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for an event, add that event to your hand. So this is basically like Black Panther's best friend. It reads, go find a Wakanda forever, and then play it. And it's amazing. That's my only opinion on Kalu.
Yeah, no, Kalu is amazing. And he's a mystic, which is very important.
Is it?
It will be. It can be.
That's true. You could use the Mystic trait instead of the Avenger trait, since all of the Mystics... Oh, wait. They're not all Avengers. We got to talk about a Mystic today, right?
Yeah.
We do. Who's definitely not an Avenger.
Never. Has never been an Avenger. Not on his ally card, for sure.
I was disappointed with Captain America.
I'll never say that again, but all right.
I don't think he's a bad card, but wow, that 6 cost. I know you can get it down low. You can get it down to 3. So at best, he's 3 for a 2/2/4 toughness, which
you can get it below 3.
You can get him a lot lower than 3. Yeah.
So it counts your hero too. So if you had 3 allies out and Triskelion, you get him down to 2. If you got Avengers
Stinger.
Power, you get him down to 1. If you got Stinger, I've played Captain America for 0.
Yes.
Okay.
That's bonkers.
that can be pretty good. But
so
your average player is probably not going to get him down to 0.
Well, he's not your average ally. That's for sure.
I was expecting something different from my Captain America.
I think Crimson said that trying to start a fight. I'm just gonna.
I think so too. Like I'm actually like getting a little heated right now. So I'm gonna walk away. Yeah, I'm pretty upset actually. Like I'm glad I went last here.
What was your favorite card? Yeah, was it Captain America? Maybe
it was 100% Captain America, and then yeah, it's Captain America and
Power Man.
Actually, I really like Blade. I want to use him more often. I like a basic 1-drop ally.
Age match. Right before you got on the mic, we had a conversation about Blade. So I would like you to give me your 60-second elevator pitch on why Blade is awesome, and then we're going to see what Crimson thinks about this Avenger Vampire.
Sure. Let me know when to go.
Go. TikTok.
Okay. He's a 1-drop ally, right? So you can play him with stuff like Captain America, or you can play him with stuff like Helicarrier or Avengers Tower, and just get a free ally out that can block for you with a pretty decent chunk of HP. His additional forced response kind of hurts, obviously. Like, you don't want to be throwing extra cards to your guy who's not doing a whole lot anyway, but he's not taking damage to attack on top of that. So you're basically just trading the 1 damage for a card. And if Jarnbjorn is good with pitching your last card, or I can do this all day is good pitching your last card, then why not pitch your last card to Blade and have a good blocker?
Very interesting. Let's see what Crimson has to say.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually sold. At first, I did not realize he didn't have consequential damage.
Oh,
so
that's right.
I was very
conversation.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I was very unhappy with him. I was like, man, this yeah, it's 1 to block 3 damage. I can do that with, a shield block.
Sure.
But yeah, not having the consequential damage actually is really, really game-changing.
Nice. So, listeners,
this isn't as heated as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, listeners, if you heard this and I convinced you to like Blade as well, please tag me in our Discord and let me know that I did the Lord's work.
See, also, I like Blade as a character. Like, he's one of my favorite comic book characters.
More Marvel monsters, like, sign me up. That means we're that much closer to Howard the Duck happening.
No.
Sure.
Yes.
I'll let you know when Power Pack shows up too.
You got it. You were being sarcastic. All right. Great.
No, that was real.
No, I'm upset again. This is a bad episode for me.
Well,
I need American here.
I'm glad you brought up Jarnbjorn, because a lot of people brought that up on Facebook, and some people on Discord were almost teasing them and being like, Blade is so good, how can you even compare it to Jarnbjorn? And when I saw that on Discord, I sat there and I looked at the message for like 5 minutes, and I was questioning my life, because I was like, since Jarnbjorn's come out, I've been like so obsessed with aggression decks with Jarnbjorn, and then I was like, is Jarnbjorn a bad card? But then you said that, so now I feel like I'm not alone. People love Jarnbjorn still, and that makes me love Blade, because he's basically Jarnbjorn that can block, and that's why I love him.
Well, yeah, because you're not pitching your whole hand to Jarnbjorn typically. You're not getting, like, turns where I get 2 Jarnbjorn activations. They feel really nice, but it means that I'm not getting the max value out of my cards. But I'm still getting something for them.
Obviously haven't played enough Jarnbjorn with me. But no, yeah, I agree. Like, typically, like, I think I love it. It's Jarnbjorn with a block, and it's amazing. And it's basic, and everybody can run it.
The one downside to Blade is you have to discard the card. You cannot use, like, a Queen Carrier
right?
or something.
That's a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Like, that was a pain. Our recorded episode that will be coming up at some point is going to feature a lot of turns where I'm like, oh, and I do this with Blade. Oh, wait, no, I don't. Okay, hang on. Not because he's bad. I'm just dumb.
And I'm glad that they chose the wording they did. Choose to either spend a physical resource from your hand instead of, discarding a physical resource from hand, because, like, band together.
So you're not just feeding him, like, Super Soldier Serum every turn.
Well, and you could still discard things that have wild card. It's not printed.
Oh, of course, yeah. So yeah, my 2 are Blade and Captain America, because I love Blade and I love Captain America, and here they are in any deck I want them to be.
And allies are great. So
and allies are great.
Yep. All right. We have lingered on Spectrum for way too long. We have to move on to the Mystic himself. One more thing?
We do need to talk about the one other card in this pack that's amazingly broken.
What's that?
That is Ready to Rumble. Ready to Rumble is amazing. It is amazing. Dude. And I suggest anybody put these in your deck and try them out. They're
Roomba.
They're so good.
This is a great card for people that are flippy-floppy like Ant-Man, Wasp, and Spectrum. And it's decidedly
Justice
bad everywhere else.
Where it's okay to flip down because you are playing Justice, so you'll be able to
It can work in Justice. That's my complaint about the card, is that since it's a hero response after you change forms, unless you can change between forms in hero form, you're having to let the villain scheme or having to confuse the villain to, like, offset the extra cost of this card. So yeah, it only costs 2 to ready, but it also costs a villain scheme activation, which is a huge hidden cost.
Another card that works really good with Spectrum's form changes. So you attack with Spectrum, you do Gamma Blast, you switch to the Gamma form, you untap Spectrum, and that's just a +2 attack. Tenacity's crap.
Oh man.
Oops, you're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, you don't have to flip down to play Tenacity though. It does
there you
cost
go.
double.
Now we're talking.
My biggest complaints about this card is, how is this card not a preparation? The title of the card is literally you're getting ready to do something. That's like the definition of preparing, and it's not a preparation. I'm just
I'm mad about it.
I'm so livid about that I can't even play this card because it's trash.
Yeah, it should be preparation. And there's also another card in Adam Warlock's group that should also be a preparation card.
Why don't we talk about
You know
it?
what? I'm going to Sharpie it in there as a preparation, but I am prepared to talk about Adam Warlock now. So Adam Warlock is Mystic traded. He's got a deck building restriction, basically. So during deck building, you must include an equal number of cards from each of the 4 aspects, not including basic. Basic is not an aspect. You cannot include more than 1 copy of any non-Adam Warlock cards. So that affects your basic cards too. So no 3 mystical studies or anything like that.
So we're changing his name to Duncan McLeod.
I thought it was Eminem, but I don't know.
No, there can only be one. It's Highlander.
Oh,
right.
Never mind. No,
Yeah.
no. We don't talk Magic terms unless they're cantrip here.
No. The movie. What Krim means to say is, there can only be one. That's what he means to say.
It's better to burn out than to fade away.
Yeah, see, now you get it. This is a Highlander podcast now.
For anybody who knows, I literally have the Highlander movie poster behind me.
Jeez.
Like, I'm a Highlander fan. I have a box of Highlander cards from the 90s.
You truly are the one.
Yeah.
The one fan of Highlander still.
I still call it EDH. It is not Commander. It is EDH. Elder Dragon Highlander.
All right, Grandpa, you got to get to bed soon, but let's keep going.
He's also got an action on his alter ego. Discard a card from your hand to remove a status card, so that's pretty cool. On his hero side, he's got way cooler stuff going on. 1 thwart, 1 attack, 2 defense. Meh. And then he has the ability Battle Mage. Action. Discard 1 card from your hand. Limit once per phase. If the card was Aggression, deal 2 damage to an enemy. Justice. Remove 2 threat from a scheme. Protection. Heal 1 damage from an ally. Or Leadership. Give a hero +1 thwart, +1 attack, and +1 defense for the round.
Love it.
Really neat.
I wish that would have been give a character +1.
Yeah.
Perfect as it is. I love it. He comes with a lot of interesting stuff. He's got, his generic resource generator. He's got Warlock's Cape that is after you resolve that Battle Mage ability, you get to ready Adam Warlock. So you can, do the leadership ability on 1 turn to get yourself to 3 defense, defend, and then next turn you can use the aggression ability ready and be able to, poke with your damage and stuff like that. He's got 2 copies of a card called Mystic Senses, which is Bonkers Broken. Hero response, after you resolve Adam Warlock's Battle Mage ability, draw a card. So if you get 2 of these out, every card in your deck that is an aspect card becomes discard me for some effect and then draw 2 cards. It's like a double cantrip.
It's so good.
It's so good. We've got 2 copies of Cosmic Ward, which is a forced interrupt. When you would reveal a treachery card, cancel its when revealed effects and discard it.
Should have been a preparation.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Preparations only matter to Widow, right? So It could have been 1. You are making a ward. It's forced. It happens in alter ego form, which is cool. This is one of the only ways you can cancel counter card, treachery when revealed, and alter ego. And then we've got other interesting cards. So he's got this theme that's all based around his Battle Mage ability, which is based around aspect cards. And then he's got these other 6 cards that do something similar, or other 5 cards. He's got 3 copies of Karmic Blast. Attack superpower, hero action attack. Deal 4 damage to an enemy and discard up to 4 cards from the top of your deck. Deal 1 additional damage to that enemy for each different aspect card discarded this way. So this could be 2 cost for 8 damage if you really lock out. We've also got 2 copies of Cosmic Awareness, which is almost the same thing but with Thwart. It's remove 3 Thwart and then discard up to 4 cards. It could be a 2 for 7 Thwart. And then my favorite card in his kit, which maybe is crazy, is Quantum Magic. Action, choose a card in your discard pile and place that puppy in your hand.
Yep,
And
that's my favorite card also. It is so strong. Being able to... Now, you are losing a card unless you have some kind of resource generation, because you're losing this card plus the one you're paying for it to get 1 card back. So it is not card advantage, but in his deck, it's almost like a tutor.
Yeah, so it's a tutor that it puts a tax on the card you're grabbing and makes it cost 1 more to your hand. But, I mean, to be able to pick whatever the best card is...
Wait 1 second. Krim,
Yo.
Can you explain why we call it a tutor?
Demonic Tutor is a magic card, costs 1 black, 1 colorless. Sorcery, search your deck for any card and put it in your hand.
We've also got Hold on. We've also got Mystical Tutor, we've got Enlightened Tutor, we have all kinds of different tutors.
Tutor, Worldly Tutor.
Yeah, so the word tutor is the one that's been isolated. and become like an evergreen card game term for anybody who's not familiar with the word tutoring.
Now, in Ice Age,
recently.
we had a tutor, but it didn't have the word tutor. It was dark conversion, and it was exile the top 6 cards of your deck, and then exile cards until you find the card you want.
Right. I mentioned it though just because it came up in the Discord recently. So I assume there are other listeners who may not be familiar with that terminology. So now you are. There you go. And knowing is at least half the battle. At least half the battle.
If you ever have a Magic question, you know who to come. No.
Yep, you can ask me, and then you don't have to talk to Grim.
Because I'll talk to you for another hour about Magic.
Yep. Anyway.
All right. And that's almost all of Adam Warlock. We've also got his ally, Pip the Troll. We talked about him in our spoiler video, but he's pretty cool. He's got toughness. He can pop into play during the villain phase, which is cool. And a support, Soul World, which is actually really interesting. After your deck runs out of cards, place 1 counter here. Alter Ego action, exhaust Soul World, remove 1 counter from it, and heal all damage from your identity, which is pretty strong, but kind of like timing can be troublesome. So, yeah.
And you got to remember that it is an Alter Ego action. Unlike when I played it, I messed that up. But it is an Alter Ego action. Well,
have you tried cheating?
The identity part threw me off. I was like, oh, sweet, I can do this in any form. Nope.
So what do y'all think of Adam Warlock? Where do we want to go?
Oh, dude, I cannot wait to build around him. He is my type of character. He's what I was looking for in Spider-Woman, but more. I like being able to just take the best of each aspect and play them, and he allows me to do that. I have no problem playing Highlander format because it's one of my favorite formats. So this it's a very feel-good card, and the fact that I can still run plenty of basics, I like him a lot. I
like the utility you get, even though you only have single copies, you always have Battle Mage. So even if that card isn't, it's not its time to shine, you can at least get some miles out of it, no matter what.
Yep. I don't like his stats.
Well, he's just a wizard. He's just a space wizard. What do you expect?
Oh, he is Mystic, which is super important.
Yep, he is a wizard.
I like Mystic characters.
Since we're talking about impressions of him, that brings me to my thing I wanted to say about Adam Warlock. With my history in comic books, Adam Warlock has been this like enigma character for me, because the number of times that people I've been in conversation with people, whether I'm working at a comic shop or I'm just talking comics somewhere, that people have said, you know who my favorite character is? Adam Warlock. And I wish this was sarcastic, and it's not. It's come up so many times. Back when I used to play HeroClix, he had a pretty powerful figure at least once. So when it would happen, then I'd be like, oh, okay, of course, because you're like smoking people with this giant figure. But it's happened for so long that people would come in and they'd say, oh, do you have any Adam Warlock comics? I really like Adam Warlock. And I've read him in Guardians of the Galaxy. I've read it, and I just don't get it. So if one of those people want to know, like not even in like a condescending way, it's just bizarre how many times this character has crossed my path as somebody's favorite character, and I just never had the chance to explain.
He was also one of my favorite characters, but for a different reason. I played him a lot in the Marvel Overpower game.
There it is. Yes, I mean, same thing. Yeah.
I loved him in the Overpower game. He just had some really cool.
Man,
like his two, or no, he had 3/1 per decks that were just amazing.
Sorry. Yeah, I get that he's powerful and stuff, and I just want to know if that's it. So please tell me and let me know why he's your favorite. CC it to Kennedy Hawk also, so he can know as well.
Totally. I'm interested. I'm down. I like me some Cosmic Marvel. So Crimson was talking about just cramming all the best cards in your deck, and I just did some really groundbreaking research. If you include 6 cards from each aspect and Cosmo, you can get 19 2-cost or less allies into an Adam Warlock deck, which is pretty amazing. So there you go. Just play 3 allies a turn. Never gonna lose.
I don't think you need to be doing that, but I mean, I'm not gonna be the one that stops you.
Might
So
be a few too many, but I tried it.
you did?
No, I tried to build it on the D.
Oh, I see.
I haven't
Okay.
actually tried it yet.
I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those like late messages. It's like, hey, are you free for a game right now? And then I'm going to say yes and load it up, and it's going to be this ridiculous 19 ally, every color.
I'll be like discarding my allies to play more allies, and they'll all be low quality because they're cheap.
Yeah.
Be like,
yeah.
what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm making a lot of bodies. That's all that
It'll be
matters.
spinning wheels and doing completely nothing except for playing a bunch of like squirrel girls.
Yes, she's one of them. Don't worry, she's in there.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
So I think his kit's really strong.
Absolutely.
I think his kit really relies on you using that battle mage ability, which is cool. I think the battle mage ability is really interesting. I think all of the abilities are pretty good. I've seen people talk about the leadership ability not being as good because if you're going to use it with Warlock's Cape, you like miss out on the stats. But I think that it can still be strong, and you can in multiplayer choose like a different hero to give plus stats to. So you can give him to Cap, who's going to ready, which seems really good.
Cap.
I like it.
Moxie Cap, and then just go
Moxie
nuts.
Cap, right?
Yeah.
Why not? One of my favorite cards is Quantum Magic, and we talked about this already, but it basically lets you buy or pay 1 extra to grab the best card from your discard pile and put it into your hand. And since you're only including a bunch of 1-ofs in your deck, you're going to have like a bunch of different solutions to him, or a bunch of different solutions to the current game state, and you always want to play the best one. So Quantum Magic like lets you pick the best thing at the best time, which I think is really, really powerful. It does have an added cost to it, though, of 1 resource. So think about that when playing it.
My favorite cards were Cosmic Ward and Mystic Senses. I think they're just super good.
Mystic Senses is really good. I don't like the Cosmic Ward is forced, because sometimes you cancel a card that like doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't forced too, but it only costs 1.
It's actually
That's
really
true.
funny with Assault. Assault is like, when revealed Alter Ego, this card gains Surge, but this will cancel that this card gains Surge in Assault, even when you're an Alter Ego. So I thought that was cool. I was happy with that.
It won't cancel normal Surge, right?
It won't cancel normal Surge unless it's after the when revealed.
Yeah. The Doctor Strange spell does counter Surge as well, doesn't it? Like it cancels all of the text.
Yep.
One of them cancels the whole card. I can't remember which one it is.
It's either Scarlet Witches or Stevens.
Yeah, well, Doctor Strange is still the most powerful hero we've ever had. So yeah, it makes sense.
So how do you go about deck building an Adam Warlock deck?
Start with the best stuff and you put it
Pick your favorites. Yeah, pick your favorites and make a pile.
So I found 3 ways to build him that are really good, in my opinion. So there's the take all the best cards, cram them into your deck, and do good things, because the best cards lead to best things. That's totally a valid way to play them. I've also found that because you're like including all these best cards, your deck doesn't have like a really strong identity, right? If you want to be like the thwart removal person in multiplayer, but you're including all these random best cards, sometimes you don't draw into thwart when you need it.
Then they hire the wrong guy.
And then they hire the wrong character. But all the aspects have access to thwarts. They all have access to attacks. They all have access to like defendy like things at this point. So you can build a deck that's pretty consistent, right? You can put like stealth strikes in, and you can put first hits in from protection, and have this like minion slayer deck, or beta ray bills from leadership. And you can be like, no matter what I draw on the turn I draw it, it's gonna blow a minion up. And you can do the same thing for thwarting or defending or whatever.
Or healing.
And I think, or healing, right? So you can build like a really like, not thematic, that's not what I'm trying to say, but like focused deck around one role. Or you can look at like cool combos that you couldn't do any other way. So you can do something like play Angela to fish up a minion, and then you can use Hard Knocks to defeat that minion and give yourself a tough card, and then you can play chase them down off of that minion that you defeated, and like bridge aspect combinations that you could never do in the past. I think one of them I had was like it used 3 aspects, and when you went through it, you were just like, that was really satisfying.
Yeah, that's you could build it like Baby's first commander deck.
Exactly.
Going back to Magic, where you take all of your favorite combos and put them in your 100 cards. So if there's
Yeah,
any
since you're
two
drawing so
cards,
many cards and you have
you
quantum
hit.
magic, you can actually have it happen sometimes.
Yeah, you get to see what you hit.
Yep. No, I like it. I like it all. I like it, every bit of it.
What anything we don't like about Adam Warlock? Anybody have things they don't like? I think he's great.
No, none of his cards really upset me at all. Like they're all pretty darn good. Even Soul World is interesting in its fact. I would say his nemesis can be a little rough.
Yeah.
But with quick strike and toughness, it's a pretty good nemesis pack.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure his nemesis is himself.
I
think
read somewhere that the art is actually not of. I mean, it is himself too, right, or something. But the art is the wrong character.
Oops.
Not the first time, and he's got these like Raphael Ninja Turtle dudes too, so that's cool.
Yeah.
And
My
then
only downside for Adam Warlock is his art. I'm not a fan of this.
Yeah.
This whole Adam Warlock look they have going on.
It's this boy Robin.
It's not doing it for me.
Yeah, I agree.
I can't think of anything else.
I do like his spell cards that come, his aspect spell cards that they added in. I really like those, like the Zone of Silence.
Yeah, so what's your favorite one? So since he came with a precon deck that can only have one of each card in it, we got a bunch of like new cards that are max one per deck. So what's your four of those cards, one for each aspect, is a card that says play only if you have the Mystic trait. So what's your favorite one? We'll each read one. Summoning spell.
Yeah.
Leadership, 2 cost. Play only if you have the Mystic trait. Hero action, discard cards from the top of your deck until you discard an ally. Put that ally into play under your control. Yeah.
Because it says put it into play.
It's so strong.
Yeah.
It's like taking call for aid and make the call and combining them.
Yep.
And it's really good.
Don't get me wrong, I still think Zone of Silence is great, and I'm going to put one in every leadership deck that has a Mystic main character, so it's going in my Doctor Strange deck. But yeah, it's I like it. It costs 1, play only if your identity has a Mystic. Now, I wish these had said play only if you have a character with the Mystic trait, so that way you could have an ally that has the Mystic trait and it would still work. Like you do with the spy trait for Black Widow. She had that preparation card, Spycraft. Unfortunately, these have to be on your identity. It is choose a scheme and discard up to 4 cards from the top of your deck. Remove 1 for each from the scheme for each card discarded this way. So it does cost you some burn through your deck. For Adam, that's not a big deal because now you have more options to tutor from the discard pile. For other characters, it may not be that great, although for me, it's still worth the payout.
Did you have a favorite one, Attercop?
I actually really like Shield Spell.
That one's good.
Because obviously, like, it's a good card. But I like
costs nothing.
And it costs nothing, which is even better. It's a fun reactive protection card, and I almost said spell, but which I guess is still technically correct. But it's also in line with a lot of the Mystic stuff that we had got with Scarlet Witch. Kind of like speeding things up, like saving you now so you pay for it later with the eventual encounter card, obviously. And it doesn't have a ceiling, right? Make sure that's true. Yeah, it doesn't have a ceiling. So if Ronan
does actually, so you can only discard until your deck runs out, right? So I actually had this earlier today where Thanos was smashing me for like 6 damage, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna spell shield," and I started discarding, and then realized I only had 5 cards in my deck. So you like fail to pay the cost, and you don't get to prevent any of the damage. So when your deck is like almost decked out, it stinks. But early in the game, it's awesome.
That also makes sense thematically. Like you're, as a wizard, right? You're almost out of spells.
Out of mana.
Yeah.
Out of mana. Yeah, exactly. So that's really cool. I like this card. I think this card is perfect thematically and not at the cost of it being very playable.
You know what cards I didn't like? All the Cosmic Entity cards.
I love those cards. Are you kidding me? I love those cards. I do. I really do.
So I love the design space of those cards. So all the Cosmic Entities are 2 cost cards, 1 per aspect. It's an event. It says shuffle this card into the encounter deck. it doesn't have a different card back, so you're going to know when it's coming up. It tells you to shuffle it without looking, so don't cheat,
Right.
cheaty McCheaty faces. But when you see it coming up, if you sleeve with clear sleeves, like some people do, or don't sleeve like those heathens, then you're going to know it's coming. So be
I'll just
prepared.
pop another villain card in there. That's fine.
Yeah, it's
Just
no big deal.
just proxy it. But man, these are some of my favorite cards from the Lord of the Rings game, which you have like, Rangers of the North that pop out, or my personal favorite, Tom Bombadil, who just jumps out in the middle of the game and just starts wreaking havoc for you, and then is like, all right, well, I'll see you later.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Lord of the Rings game, like if those come out as like a shadow card, they still
Mhm.
trigger?
No, they don't.
They don't. Where do they go if they are discarded as a shadow card? Do they go back into like the encounter discard?
Yes, they do. So unless you reveal them, they're not going to be removed from the game.
So the way these ones have been ruled is every time
Oh
you discard a
no.
card in Marvel Champions, it goes back to its owner's discard pile. So
Oh
if this is a
man.
boost card, you've just paid 2 resources to get 0 boost icons, and now it goes back into your deck and doesn't trigger its ability, doesn't go back into the encounter deck. Now, if you're playing in Kennedy Hawk's house, I'm going to tell you a secret. We discard them to the place that's more fun, and we put them in the encounter discard pile. But if you want to play by the rules, like those rules people, you're supposed to actually put them into your discard pile, which I think, to me, just makes them very frustrating. Because when you see them as a boost card, you're like, ugh, I know this is going to happen. Like, can I deck out this turn to make it not happen? What can I do?
It should have had a boost icon on it that says,
Yeah, resolve this
boost.
card when I come up as a boost. That would have been great.
Resolve the when revealed effect of this card.
Yeah, we definitely do that. So why aren't we doing that here?
Nope.
I actually had someone point out a really good use for Star-Lord Ally, who I just relentlessly screamed about in a previous episode as being bad. But Star-Lord Ally deals yourself the top card of the encounter deck. So since they didn't give us
man.
cards with different sleeve backs, when you see it's coming up, it's like the one tech time to play Star-Lord Ally. You're like, give me that cosmic entity. But what I'm going to tell them is 2 bad cards does not make a good card. So
that is correct.
I think it could be fun and it could be cute, and I'll probably try it in standard because it sounds amazing. But that probably isn't gonna, like, you have to have that card on the top of the deck and have Star-Lord in your hand and have all the other stars align, like having the resources to pay for it, and then it becomes okay.
Too bad they're limit 1 per deck, or else you could throw three of them into Star-Lord.
Yeah, into Hero Star-Lord.
I would definitely include this in a Star-Lord hero deck. Seems legit.
Yeah, like the payoff is just too good to ignore. Like you have a turn where you just get not punished and a free spell or a free card.
Yep.
Like that's
but you only get one in your entire deck.
Right.
Yeah.
And then is it gone?
They all do different things. So the aggression one is the in-betweener. It's 2 costs, deal 2 damage to the villain, and remove this card from the game. So the thwarting one removes 2 threat from the main scheme. You can see where we're going here. The protection one heals 2 damage from your identity. And then the leadership one draws you a card. Yeah, that seems good.
It also negates an encounter card, which I think is the important part of the value.
Yeah, and it like eliminates a treachery or a encounter card reveal, right?
Right. Softens a turn for you.
Yeah, softens the blow. So there's 2 more types of cards Adam got 4 of. He got 4 new resources. Each resource is a max 1 per deck and has a hero responsibility. So we've talked about the Justice Determination one before. Hero response: after you spend this card, remove 1 threat from the main scheme. What does everybody think about the new max 1 per deck resources?
I just don't think they do enough, but I'd probably still include them in the deck because they're better than nothing, but I just don't think they do enough.
I love them.
I love
probably
Audacity.
My favorite cards in the box. I do love Audacity because it's got some sweet Hawkeye art on it. There's nothing wrong with that art.
And for the same reason that I like Gamma Form, it deals that 1 damage before you get in with your attack.
Yeah, so Audacity is after you spend this card, deal 1 damage to the villain. So if the villain has Tough, you're going to knock Tough off the villain because you spend your resources and then you resolve your card effect. I like these cards. They all provide wild resources, and I think when I play a normal turn of Marvel Champions, right, I have like 5 to 6 cards in my hand, and since all those cards are resources and cards, that means I have 5 to 6 choices. So I can put one of these into my deck, and whenever I draw it, it means now instead of 5 to 6 choices, I have 4 to 5. But that's still a lot of choices to make, and all those choices become better because they all trigger some extra ability. The aggression one deals damage, the thwarting one, or the justice one removes threats, the protection one heals a damage from you, and the leadership one heals the damage from an ally. So they're almost always going to be useful. Your 4 justice can now remove 5 threat, which is crazy, or your
Which we
relentless
had talked
assault.
about before. Yeah.
Yeah, like I love him. They're probably my favorite cards.
Your full value dropkick also deals an additional 1.
Yeah, it removes tough, and then it does 4, and then it stuns and draws a card.
I did that
I'll
recently,
use-
and I was living the dream.
I'll use them. Maybe they should have been max 2 per deck.
You can't have everything, Grim. You can't have
2 per
everything.
deck would have been cool. When I play Spider Woman, I put both of them in there. It's a little bit unfortunate with Spider Woman. This doesn't count as playing an aspect card. I like that they're not aspect locked with these multi-aspect heroes, or even with like power of aggression only doubles itself when you're playing an aggression card. But if I use innovation to play a Hawkeye card, it doesn't matter that I'm not using it on a leadership card to get its special ability. It works on every card in your deck. So you're not yeah.
Or you determination and audacity to play a momentum shift, and then deal 2, heal 2, or deal 1, thwart 1, deal 2, heal 2.
Yeah, I like it. Beautiful.
Yeah. Talking about combos, there's one.
Wombo combos. We've also got 1 new ally per aspect. So what's everybody's favorite new ally? And a basic one if you want to include those non-aspects.
And a basic one. I really like Major Victory.
Yeah, totally. I'm on board.
Not just because of the shield, but he's a cool character. Like when he pops back up in the Guardian series. But I like his ability a lot. Like he's a cheap ally, so that's cool. The game up until this point has shown us that leadership allies are some of the most, or I'm sorry, cheap allies are some of the most impactful allies possible. And not only that,
cheap? No, I'm just kidding.
and being able to get that one extra action, honestly, can be night and day in some really tight spots.
Yeah, I mean, you can get an extra attack with Goliath.
Yeah, you can actually. That's cool. His sequencing is like super important, so that's cool.
Yeah, I
you
like
get
the
an
Major
extra attack
Victory
with
also.
Goliath? I'm confused.
Because this is a ready.
When he's defeated, so you could like thwart with him one turn and then thwart again the next turn, and then he is defeated from his own damage.
Yeah, because he's defeated at the end of the turn. Goliath is.
Yeah, but Goliath isn't a guardian.
Well, you would obviously build around with like the guardian trait stuff.
Gotcha. You'd have to play Honorary Guardian on him.
Didn't we just have a card in this group that turned everything into guardians?
Honorary Guardian?
Star-Lord? I get you.
Yeah,
I
like him.
Star-Lord.
We didn't read his card. He's 2-cost ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack with 2 health.
Oh, right, sorry.
Guardian trait. No, you're fine. Interrupt. When Major Victory is defeated, choose a friendly Guardian character and ready that character. This is really cool as like a support type character. Again, with Adam Warlock like buffing Drax and then using Major Victory to ready Drax so he can do like an extra attack or whatever, or a defense.
Okay, Drax is the right option, but I'm still going to go with Goliath.
Oh man, that's a lot of damage, yeah.
Yeah, I like that ability to do it like either offensively or defensively. If you're the defending like leadership player, you can defend for yourself. You can defend for player 2 with Major Victory and then ready yourself, and then you could defend for player 3 with yourself again, which seems pretty good.
Readying Groot again? That's cool. I'm into that.
Yeah. We've got Marvel Boy, who's 0 thwart, 2 attack, 2 cost aggression ally, Guardian and Creech rated. Interrupt when Marvel Boy attacks, spend a physical resource to give him piercing and ranged.
I actually like Marvel Boy, and you can use him with Quinn Carrier. I mean, not that you really can, but you know what I mean. You can use a resource.
I just feel like he doesn't do enough for me. The 0 thwart really bothers me, and I like Bug so much better. I don't know why. And Bug has the same cost and a way better ability, in my opinion.
I do hate the art. I will admit that.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like. Sorry.
That's just his face.
Yeah.
We've got Quasar, 3 cost Justice Ally with 3 health, 1 thwart, 2 attack. Response after Quasar enters play, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. What do you think about that, Chris?
It's okay. It's a little overcost, and I think his stats are backwards, but I think he's still good.
You guys were just talking about how great Venom was because he does all this damage, and now you get a 3-cost Justice Ally with 2 damage, and you don't like him? I can't believe you.
I think he's a little
Quasar is flawless, and he's my favorite ally.
I think he's a little underpowered for Quasar.
I think he's underpowered thematically. That I will give you.
Yeah.
It should be every time he activates, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play.
There you go. That's some quantum band action, yeah.
So how many schemes do you think you need for him to be cost efficient?
3.
3 counting the main.
So he'd get 3 threat removal on play, which is like a 4 justice. And then he'd be a body that could do 6 damage. That seems pretty strong. I'm just saying.
I mean, when you start breaking numbers down like that, yeah, he could do 4 damage and also prevent an attack for 9, you know, like...
Yeah, I mean, like, I feel like he's really good. Even if there's only the main scheme in play, he's good. He's not great. If there's even one side scheme in play, I like try to play this guy every time.
Right.
And if you're playing against like a wrecking crew or something, he's gonna remove from 5 schemes when you play him.
The old Jessica Jones, yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, he's like inverse Jessica Jones. He spreads the thwarting out instead of all at one place. So I'm a big fan of Quasar.
Why not play both and just send Wrecking Crew packing?
Well, why not make a Justice Ally deck?
There you go.
I've done plenty of those. Don't worry.
I believe it.
It's happening.
Even I've done it. Wow.
Yeah, I've done it with Wiccan and Quake and a couple other cheap Justice Allies.
Secret Warriors, what up?
I really like Wiccan still. He's still, in my top.
He's great. We've got Charlie 27, the protection ally, 4 cost, 4 health, 1 thwart, 1 attack, retaliate 1, and toughness.
He's okay.
He was my least favorite of the new ones. But the retaliate doesn't go off, like you get it once with the toughness, but it doesn't go off that many times. And the 1 thwart, 1 attack, like by using that, you're getting less retaliates off. So he's great at like chumping Ultron drones. But I wasn't. I'd rather just play Luke Cage.
Yeah,
I guess is my complaint.
Honestly, yep. I agree. That was my problem too.
The basic ally is Martin X, 3 cost, basic ally, 1 thwart, 1 attack, 4 health. So that's pretty cool. Guardian traded, reduce the cost to play Martin X if your identity has the Guardian trait by 1. So you can play him for 2.
I think for 2 he's really good. For 3 he's meh.
I would agree. I would not include him if I don't have the Guardian trait. You do have to be careful. All the Guardian heroes don't have Guardian in alter ego form. So there's no combining this with Captain America's thing. If you're both in alter ego, I guess that would be silly. Anyway, but if you have honorary Guardian on yourself, then you do have Guardian in alter ego form. So be careful when you decide to sequence your playing of Martin X.
You and your honoraries.
As I usually am about semi-obscure stuff. I'm super excited that we got the original Guardians in any capacity. So cool. Way to go. Thanks FOG.
We didn't get Nikki though. Come on.
We didn't get Nikki, no.
I'm incredibly disappointed.
That's okay. We'll get through this, and we have room to add one more card to finish it off, but the likelihood of us getting the entire roster not in a way like this, I think, was pretty low.
Yeah, I think this was the perfect way to like interject a bunch of more Guardians. And I know we already did our Nebula episode and it was supposed to come out after this box, but it didn't. So blame intergalactic shipping, I guess. So we know we got a few more Guardians in that Nebula pack. So that was neat. And I'm hoping that, maybe we'll get like a Nova pack or something that like revisits this trait someday.
Nova, probably not.
So I'd be down for a Nova pack.
It'll be a Champions pack though. It won't be.
It will be a Champions pack. It'll be an ally.
It'll definitely be a Champions pack, but it'll be a Champions pack. How about that?
Marvel Champions.
Yes, exactly. I am a champion of Marvel Champions. So where do we grade Adam Warlock? We skipped his grades.
Oh, whoops.
He failed, obviously. He was tardy.
I like him, but I think he's a B tier. But I like him.
I think Battle Mage pushes him into B for me. Otherwise, he would be C. I think the limitation is fun and cool. I don't think that my grade should detract from what I think of it, because again, I think he's fun and cool. But in terms of power level, I think that Battle Mage pushes him into B.
Yeah, I think his events are too strong for him to not be B tier, right? If you can pay 2 to remove 7 threat as your ceiling and remove 3 to 4 threat as your floor, that's really good. And you have the same thing going for attacks. I think if you're one of those like deck building people that like, if you're one of those gross people that likes to build decks, who would they be? Then he's probably an A tier hero for you because you're gonna love trying to build decks and solve this like puzzle box that is Adam Warlock. There's a really good deck in the DB. I'll put it in the show notes. You should check it out right now. That's all about using him as like a toolbox character where you pull out the right tools at the right time and like solve all the world's problems, and it's super fun.
That's awesome.
So for deck building people, he's A tier. Power level wise, he's probably B tier. Fun, he's like in that B plus A minus range. He got one question wrong and it was a big question, so maybe an A minus.
But he's not feeling too bad about it.
He's not feeling too bad about it. He wasn't like on the bottom half of that C curve, so it's okay.
Cool. Well, I know. I'm right there with him. Actually, maybe I'm not so different.
Maybe you are the same. Now you're starting to like Adam Warlock as a character better.
Maybe I am Adam Warlock, and that's why I keep encountering people that like him.
Oh,
man. Now everybody knows that I'm Kang, so
you're super popular apparently.
No, I'm Kang. If anybody else, I mean, people know that already, so I can't also be Adam Warlock.
All right. Well, that does it. That is our first episode of Mad Titan Shadow. Thanks for tuning in. Come back in 2 weeks to hear what we think about the first 3 villains from this campaign box.
See you next time.
Later, guys.